Well, hello there. I've been doing leather work for the past 10 hours. All those people out there that think I'm only making videos or, hitting the keys on the keyboard, I bet a lot of people think that's what I do. Check out this one. This one's pretty cool. This is a silver iridescent cobra. I've actually made a couple wallets out of it. I have that much of it left. This is actually a really important video. They're all important, right? Now this one is really important. Before doing that, I'd like to show you what I just made over here. The little spots are actually where it's still drying underneath. So these are python braces. A brace is kind of like a medieval protection. It goes right here on your lower arms, like that. They're covered in python. It's got 11-ounce harness leather underneath it. What do you think of those, huh? Look at that. How long did these take to make? They look so simple, don't they? These took about just under 6 hours to make. Yeah, believe it or not. All the little details, including my little proof mark inside. Yeah, it says that I made them. Neat, huh? I don't know if you like that or not. Also, made a couple belts. These aren't only half finished, so the edge coating's not done yet and a bunch of stuff's not done. These are belts that are python. Got a couple of those. I thought I'd just show you those. Sorry about that. It's cool making stuff, especially stuff that'll last longer than a lifetime, if someone takes halfway decent care of it. I promise in this video that, well, that's your opinion. No, it's not my opinion. It's fact. That I'm going to talk about 5 things that, whether it's part of homeschooling or a supplement to schooling, I don't actually believe in public schooling at all because it's absolutely antithetical to a true education. It's absolutely evil. A bunch of people in different countries were telling me, that you can't homeschool your kids, like Sweden and Germany. I know there's a lot of other ones. Those are the 2 that actually come to mind. But I'm going to go over 5 different things that will make life way easier, way better to deal with not only your life, but also to everybody out there in life, or 99% of them anyway, are like traffic cones and speed bumps on your path in life. I mean, we just have to admit it. They are. They're just speed bumps and traffic cones, kind of like one of those driving tests when you're a teenager. You got to weave through the traffic cones and the speed bumps. This is also, too, really step 1 of theurgy, or retroduction, but that's not what this video is about. It's about being practical and pragmatic about having an easier life. People say, well, I think an easier life, I have a lot of money and I don't have to worry about bills, and that certainly is true. There's 3 things, and this is not one of the 5 aspects of a superior life, and it really is. I'm going to talk about these 5 things. I mean, I'm being serious as a heart attack. But people don't distinguish truth versus opinions versus intuition. A lot of people get caught up in that something is blatantly obvious, even if you can't present it in a court of law. Like, people need to make spur-of-the-moment decisions, and they may not be intelligent, and but all the markers are there. If you see and you feel A, B, C, X, Y, Z, you can make an intuitive leap about something. It's like, this is fishy. So do you have any proof it's fishy? It's like, no, my intuition says this is just flat out fishy. Catch you later. I'm out of here. But people fail to distinguish truth or episteme from doxa and opinions. And it's okay to have opinions and subjective feelings, like how much you love your dog or your pet parrot or your family or your rugrats, obviously so. But people like to mesh those things together, and I know none of you were taught this in high school or college, and you conflate these things, and it makes life miserable. I mean, if you can actually I'm not actually against pigeonholing in general, but if you can pigeonhole these things in your life, I mean, your life is just so much easier. I mean, we all like to laugh or, whatever in a good movie, or, you're hanging out with your buddies, you know, and things get emotional, your loved one, but people try to overlap these things, and I've seen it a million times that people have made themselves miserable and or destroyed relationships or destroy their financial success or success in seeing things clearly in life, and that they get into projection and they actually overlap the filters of their feelings or opinions upon things. So if you could actually learn to do that, that would be incredible. Most people don't, and you're not taught this. None of this stuff, and this is so important. I've got a list of 5. I'm getting to them very quickly here. Also, too, differentiating out wisdom versus knowledge. Everybody keeps asking me about a certain person. I'm not going to mention his name. Have you heard of so-and-so? And scrolling through IG, Instagram, I came across this guy. Everybody keeps asking me, "Hey, one of the highest IQs ever." IQs are actually not important. Sure it is. You know, it's way better to be intelligent than unintelligent, obviously so, but it is not important. All of this stuff could be lost in an instant in a car wreck, for example. All the empirical knowledge and the facts that you've gathered are episteme. They are not wisdom. They're absolutely not. Anyway, I've seen this guy on Instagram. I didn't know that was the person everybody kept talking about. But they say, "Have you heard of so-and-so, one of the smartest men alive?" Like, I have seen a couple videos where they're talking to this guy about God and a couple of other things, and there's absolutely nothing. And I'm not trying to inflate myself by digging a hole out from under the feet of somebody else, but I mean, I don't even consider the guy, you know, conventionally intelligent, i.e. having any common sense. He can't synthesize anything. His head is full of facts. Also, too, IQ does not teach or test, excuse me, for anything important like nonlinear thought, spontaneous creative genesis, instantaneous, non-mentation-based problem solving. I actually go down a laundry list about 100 different points long of things that actually cannot be tested for, nor are they even tested for in an IQ test. You should not confuse wisdom, which is self-proximity. So what's self-proximity? I'll say, what's the opposite of dilution? Well, the opposite of dilution is concentration. One is based in the transcendent self, which is not harmed by anything in this world. The other one has an XYZ Cartesian coordinate in the psychophysical persona. You know, Bob Larry and what exists between his ears. You know, the extemporaneous and monumental number of collective irrelevant facts that he or she has gathered in he or she's brain. But all that can be lost in an instant. A case of bad health, a stroke, a car accident. That's empirical knowledge. I do not confuse, and nor should you, confuse wisdom with facts, nor should you confuse you know, the transcendent wisdom, which is ab extra to the psychophysical self, with the empirical facts collected where you go home and memorize things. You can actually regurgitate a lot of things. There's actually a brilliant part in a great movie everybody should probably see. It's called Good Will Hunting. And the actual wise guy, you know, is testing this guy that memorized a lot of stuff. It's like he can't synthesize anything. He can regurgitate things, but he doesn't know what to do with it. This is the serious issue with doctors and why iatrogenic fatality is the second after cancer, is that doctors essentially you know, drink a lot of coffee and they memorize a lot of facts, but they can't spontaneously synthesize the answers to anything at will. They just go off of what they were told to believe in and told to put in their head, and they have a lot of facts in their head, but ultimately they're proven endlessly to be not useful. The other thing is that truth seekers, and I got a neat little chart here, it's about as simple as it gets. Huh? Here's you over here, and here's the truth over here. Now if you're headed in the right direction, through debate, through testing, you know, you're still headed towards the truth. If you're headed off in the wrong direction, and you're corrected, then you're headed towards the truth. Either way, you're headed towards the truth. You are not taught in high school or college, and anybody that gets a homeschool education should be taught this, A genuine truth seeker, which is extremely noble, of the highest caliber, is one of the most important and the rarest things in this world. Can you just wrap your brain around the fact that if you're on the right track and your mettle is tested in a debate upon, things, what you know and or believe, and your mettle is tested and, you're proven right and you pass through the fire, as it were, you're still headed towards the truth. If your position is untenable and faulty like a shaky bridge, you, as a truth seeker, would enjoy to be proven wrong because you were headed in the wrong direction relative to the truth, and now you're headed in the right direction. There's a movie where these two nerds, I think it's the movie Paul, where they actually find that alien, and there's this big long double-edged nerd toy for like $100, and it looks very impressive, and it's meant to hang on the wall. Like, look at that, that's impressive. And when they actually need it, it's just a cheap piece of garbage, and it falls apart. And a lot of people's sword of wisdom is exactly like the sword, that those two nerds in the movie Paul, which is a great and funny movie, by the way, they buy. It's so impressive to look at it. Yeah, but it's meant to hang on the wall, and people's wisdom is like that. And when it's truly put to the test, it falls apart. It's like, well, it's a piece of junk. Yeah, but it looked impressive, and a lot of people, subliminally know that, and, they never want to take the sword of wisdom, their sword of wisdom, off the wall and test it. But a truth seeker always does. Like, I want to test this. I used to watch these sword makers shows where they would, DIY their own edged tools, and, they would test them. The ones that actually succeeded, and if it passed, then it went on to the final competition. Some of the guys made them, and they didn't test them, and when it got down to the final part where they did test them, they fell apart. And that's really a great earmark for a lot of humanity. People just don't want to test, the validity of, the things that are collected in their head and or their beliefs. And of course, beliefs are one thing, and nobody is their beliefs. Here's a neat little thing on the other side here. This is the transcendent over self over here, and this is the belief self over here. The belief self, of course, would be BS, right? These two are not the same. To the common person, and by the way, this is called spiritual polarization up here, where your actual transcendent self and your belief self, i.e. the psychophysical or conventional self, are two different things. Where there is enough wisdom that there is sufficient separation. For the common person down here, there's near total overlap. The transcendent self and the belief self are one and the same thing. These people don't seek wisdom. They're not truth seekers. They are, by definition, ignoble. And that's when you prove them wrong, they get upset. I've said this so many times, but no one's taught this. You are not your beliefs. And when you confuse those two, you not only are heading off in the wrong direction from every perspective, but your life is infinitely more miserable that you think that you are your beliefs. I don't know how many times I could say that. I don't think people register that in their brains. By the way, what's happened over this past week, I've seen reports of fragile buttercups shaving their heads over what happened on November the 5th. They have in their brain this collection of beliefs, and when it was put to the test, it's like, well, most Americans don't want what you want. They actually want cheaper grocery prices, and they want peace in the world, and they want to be left alone. And they can't imagine why anybody would pull the lever or, click the check mark for, and I didn't vote. I don't care about this thing at all, but I'm using this as an example. There's these colleges they're reporting on that where people that are upset, they're canceling classes, they're giving the kids cookies and Legos. These are college-age kids. There's a University of Oregon professor, he's got a nose ring, by the way, bearded guy. I think they fired him, either that or they put him on leave. He said anybody that supports that guy, well, they should, be be done away with. I'm going to use those words very politely. Be done away with. I mean, this is a person that is totally wrapped up in their beliefs. They think they are their beliefs. They think their beliefs are themselves. These people that lose their cool because, you know, much of the world doesn't think the way they do or believe in the nonsense that they believe, they lose their cool. A real person that is a truth seeker is like, well, I was wrong, but why was I wrong? Let me look at the facts and see, you know, why it is this. Because the people that want to dismiss other people, well, there's just unintelligent people. That's the way they do that. I'm a smart person, and the reason why this happened is that they're extremely unintelligent and biased. It's like, no, actually, in fact, you are. I'm just using that as an example, by the way. People that say, well, that's your opinion. They say, well, I don't agree. This is a great way to actually dominate in a debate. And it's about seeking the truth, not dominating in a debate. Is that people say, well, that's your opinion. It's like, no. And if you are expressing an opinion, then it's valid. But if you actually state some empirical facts, like, well, you're wrong, and I've done this recently quite a few times, you know, get somebody on the phone, something I got is missing some parts, for example, and like, oh, I never left the factory that way. And then you just, you hit off a checklist, and it's like, no, you're not perfect, nobody is, mistakes are made everywhere. This is brand new, I didn't lose it, the distributor didn't lose it, it's an issue at your factory. You work back with them and say, no, I'm not stating an opinion, I'm stating episteme, I'm stating empirical demonstrable facts, which are irrefutable. The fact that you're conflating empirical facts with opinions means that fundamentally you are illogical and irrational, and that's not, you know, any sort of personal vendetta, it's stating the fact, and that really gets people. But the fact that it gets to them is not important. It's the fact that, you know, you stated your dominance in an argument. Winning arguments is incredibly important. And a lot of people, especially Westerners, they think argument is literal argumentation. You know, wow, 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 meow, meow. That's not what it is. As a truth seeker, you should be able to spot things very, very quickly. And I'm going to get on to another point that actually takes care of that very easily. Never take anything personal. So many people take basically everything personal, and they certainly should not, and it's a path to ruination. Another point of the 5-point checklist, then I'll go over all 5 of them again here very quickly, are books to reorder your brain. I've got that list in the description of every video. Primary books to read, like the Pitaphysian, the Enneads of Plotinus, like Principal Upanishads, the Pitaphysian, Walter Russell's Universal One. You know, there's a very small number of books, actually, that would reorder your brain. I've had countless thousands of people tell me how it's reordered the brain, and they can think so much clearly now. It's like, I told you so. You know, I told you so. I myself also, too, am, I don't mean the word hostile literally in an objective sense, but you know, completely contrary to all complexity. There was a really great live stream. There was like 500 people in it a few days ago. Some guy that believed in relativism and, relativity and atomism came in, and he was just painting the universe as just this obnoxious, complicated mess of hodgepodge, typical of quantum and relativity. Nothing should be more complex in our lives than nature, and nature itself is supremely simple. I can't stand complexity because there's no need for it in life. I got more books than anybody you've ever met, whether it be both digital and or physical books, and you know, my head is full of an innumerable number of facts, but I abhor and detest complexity. Everything in life should be extremely simple, and it should be no more complex than nature itself, and everybody loves the complicated, and it is a fundamental failing of humanity that people do that. Not everybody suffers from that problem, but most people unfortunately do. Also, to learn about logical fallacies. Really, there's only about 30 of them to learn. I'm sure you've heard of some of them. There's a great one that comes with MP3 audio, and it's a little booklet. It's called The Great Courses, Argumentation, Study of Effective Reasoning. Like bandwagon fallacies, like 6 million people believe in it, therefore it must be true. Well, that's a bandwagon fallacy, and one of my lifelong mottos that I created is nothing true is popular and nothing popular is true. One of the worst fallacies ever. Straw man fallacy, where you actually create a straw man and you go after the straw man. Ad hominem, that's where you get personal rather than actually addressing the facts. Appeal to an authority. In a formal debate, there's no such thing as an authority at all. There's only experts and novices. There's no authorities. People use that all the time. Well, who peer-reviewed your book? You know, Mr. Bald-Tattooed Man on field theory there. Who peer-reviewed it? You know, where's your PhD? Where was Plato's PhD or William Shakespeare's PhD in English? You know, non-existent. You either love the truth or you don't. You know, this appeal to authority is a fundamental fallacy. Anecdotal. Well, that car is really good because I got one. I mean, because mine works great. You know, doesn't mean it's a bad car. It's like, yeah, no, it's been recalled. It's demonstrably bad with a lot of design. Well, I've got one of those and I never had any problem out of mine. It's an anecdotal fallacy. Begging the question, restating the claim. I encounter this all the time when I debated the people that, you know, profess to know something about the original texts of so-called Buddhism. They'll state a claim and then they'll restate the claim as if the restated claim is evidence for the original claims. Like, you're engaging in fallacies. You're restating the claim, except you're slightly wording it differently. The 5 fundamental things that makes life so much easier, so much better, and this is not my fact at all, not my feeling or my opinion or my belief, are these 5 things. Having the time to consume, and it's never too late to read some books. I've talked about those, and I have them in the description below. To reorder your brain in a much more precise and acute manner. You know, Plotinus, Pitaphesian, on and on. There's really only about 10 or 12 books. Huh? You don't have to read them all. Even 4 or 5 would suffice to reorder your brain and make it work so much better. Yeah. Kind of like greasing the works on something mechanical. My sewing machines over here are all metal. You know, I run them ruthlessly, but, you know, until I squirt some oil, there's like 10 little lubrication holes on these sewing machines over here. You know, you do that, it orders them, they stop squeaking, they run more smoothly. Learning about fallacies. It would literally only take you less than a couple weeks to learn about 30, there's a lot of fallacies, but there's really only 30 that you and I encounter. And those comprise about 99% of fallacies. When you can see the fallacy, you know, then it is a booby trap that you don't fall into. And that's so important in life. So reordering the mind to make it more acutely better working. The fallacies. Never ever, the third one, never ever confusing yourself with your beliefs. What the things that you think, feel, and believe and your feelings are one thing. Don't confuse your beliefs with that which you inherently are. You are not your beliefs. Everybody that does that is, all these people that are like screaming and yelling, like these college kids, and like shaving their head, and another one like checked herself into a cuckoo ward because this person, I don't want to say their name, they have these feelings and beliefs, and they superimpose that upon themselves, and they think the two are the same. And they're not. When you're actually aloof, you don't care who attacks you or what they say about you. I mean, verbally attack, ad hominems, and well, it doesn't matter. It's like, well, I don't care what you say about me. People have seen this in debate when I've got 500 plus people in the live stream. You know, someone come in, I'm going to rile this guy up, I'm going to get his dander up and, you know, make the fur go the other direction. That's how you get a cat going, right? When you pet their fur in the wrong direction. It doesn't work on me. When you do that, life is so more, you can see with clarity. When you have a belief system, it's like wearing sunglasses at nighttime. Everything becomes occluded. Why has nobody taught this stuff in elementary school at the very least? It's not taught in high school or college either. These 5 points are not taught. So that's the third one. The fourth one is being a genuine truth seeker. If you're a genuine truth seeker, you love to be proven right, to test your mettle, you know? Kind of like that movie where the nerds buy that $100 double-edged Conan the Barbarian sword. Like, it's really impressive looking. It's like, yeah, but if you go to use it, it'll fall apart like a cheap card table. It's a piece of junk. It's just a piece of trash. It's meant to hang on the wall. And that's what a lot of people do, is they hang their beliefs on the wall of their brain. And they fundamentally know in the back of their brain that the crazy beliefs that they have, just like those cheap $100 swords, they can't be put to the test because they know they'd fall apart. Towards the end of the movie there, the guy whips out the double-edged, it just falls apart instantly. It's kind of funny. Number 5, wisdom versus knowledge. Never ever confuse empirical facts with wisdom. They are not the same. One has its locus in the psychophysical self, and the other one has its locus in the transcendent self. Wisdom would be analogous to the signal. You know, the greater the wisdom you have, the greater clarity of the signal, because the signal is not in the radio. The signal is everywhere and nowhere. Smash this radio, the signal still is. Empirical knowledge, i.e. episteme, and it's based here in the radio, the chip that's in it, like the memory presets that you have, on, how you programmed it. When I take the battery out long enough, all those presets are gone, including the memory channels, etc., etc. Pretty good analogy. Radio analogy is pretty good. I love the radio analogy. It's nearly perfect for almost everything. So if you could learn those things and apply those things to your life, and I have, and we all fail at various levels, of having an ordered mind, learning about fallacies, never confusing that which you inherently are, i.e. the transcendent self, with your opinions and feelings and beliefs. You are not your beliefs. That's 3. Number 4, being a genuine truth seeker. So very rare. Proven right, you're in the right direction. If you're proven wrong and you're corrected, then you're also headed in the right direction. Isn't it amazing? Nobody talks about that. Number 5, do not confuse wisdom with knowledge. I hope you like these videos. I'm going to continue doing some more leather work tonight. I'll probably be up to 3 a.m. doing leather work. If you like these videos, any donation is always very warmly welcome and appreciated. That's also too in the description below. If you want to email me, also too, my email's below, including a lot of articles and books that I've written in the description below. Okay? Have a lovely week. If you apply these 5 things, your life will be a lot better. And that's not my opinion. That is a fact.